have lived a long time with one night echoing inside my memory. I have seen wars come and go, rulers rise and fall, taxes go up and never come down. I have watched children become old men and old men become dust. I have served wine to merchants, bread to soldiers, and a bed to more travelers than I can count. But when I close my eyes at night, when the noise of the day finally dies and my bones ache in the quiet, I do not see the faces of governors or generals. I see a young couple at my door, and I hear myself say, "There is no room." We were overflowing that week. Bethlehem is never truly quiet when Rome is counting heads, but that season was beyond anything I had seen. Men cursed the decree in one breath and thanked the increase in business with the next. Families poured in from every direction, cousins, uncles, strangers, all of them needing somewhere to sleep, somewhere to eat, somewhere to complain about Caesar. For days, my wife and I hardly sat down. I shouted orders to the servants until my throat went raw. The courtyard filled with animals, carts, and angry voices. We had people on every mat, every rooftop corner, shoulder to shoulder in rooms that were never meant to hold so many. Money was good, tempers were not. By the time the sun went down that night, I was done. My feet throbbed, my head pounded. Every time I closed my eyes, I could hear someone asking for more bread, more oil, more space. I had turned 3 people away just in the last hour, not because they didn't need a bed, but because I simply didn't have one left to give. Then came the knock. I almost ignored it. Truly, I did. I thought, let them try the next house. Let someone else bear the weight of saying no. But the knocking came again, not loud, but persistent. So I opened the door, already forming the refusal in my mouth. They were standing there. The man first? He looked like so many of the others, dusty, weary, cloak worn thin by travel. But his eyes were searching mine with a kind of quiet desperation. Not anger, not entitlement, just a deep, controlled urgency. And then I saw her. She was young. Younger than my own daughters. Her face was pale, drawn tight with pain she was trying not to show. One hand clutched her belly, rounded and heavy. The other pressed against the doorframe for balance. She swayed slightly as she stood there, and for a heartbeat I forgot to breathe. "Please," the man said, just that one word. "Is there any place at all? He didn't have to finish. I could see it. I looked past them into the yard. Inside, every square of floor was covered. People were already restless, complaining about the crowding. My mind flew to all the possibilities. If I let them in, where would I put them? If I turned away a paying guest to make room, who would I anger? How many voices would rise at once? How much more chaos would it stir? I wish I could tell you that compassion won easily. That I looked at her and forgot about money and comfort and reputation. But the truth is uglier. I hesitated. In that hesitation lives the regret that has followed me all my days. "There is no room," I heard myself say. The words were practiced by then, worn smooth by repetition. "We are full. I am sorry." I watched the sentence land on him. His shoulders stiffened almost imperceptibly. He swallowed whatever fear and frustration he felt, the way a man swallows back a groan in front of his children. He turned slightly toward the girl, his wife, I assumed, and in his eyes, I saw something that unsettled me. He wasn't thinking of himself at all, only of her. He started to nod, to accept the refusal. And that's when I saw her grip tighten around her middle, her mouth clamp shut to stifle a cry. Whatever was happening, it was happening soon. I speak to many people every day. I answer questions, give directions, name prices, calm tempers. That night, in that breath between my refusal and their turning away, another voice rose inside me, quieter than everything else, but undeniable. Do something. I sighed, the kind of sigh a man gives when duty wins over convenience. Wait, I said. They stopped. There is a place. It is not fit for a lady. I almost didn't offer it. The words felt like an insult as they formed. There is a stable behind the house. It is dry. There is straw. It is all I have. The man met my eyes again, and in his I saw relief so sharp it almost shamed me. That will do, he said quickly. Thank you. He helped her move, slow and careful, around the back toward the stable. I watched them go for a moment, guilt gnawing at me. I could have done more, I thought. I could have cleared a corner. I could have made someone else give up space. But the courtyard called me back. Someone shouted about spilled wine. Another complained that their meat was undercooked. Coins clinked, cups slammed, voices rose and fell. The world rushed back in around me, and the young couple began to drift to the back of my mind like smoke. The truth is, I forgot about them for a while. Business does that. Noise does that. It drowns out the little nudges of the heart. Later, though, when the lamps had burned low and the worst of the chaos had faded, the stable returned to my thoughts. I stepped outside to breathe air that didn't smell like sweat and roasted lamb, and the night struck me as strangely still. The stars seemed brighter, the air felt sharp and clean. Somewhere in the distance, the faint bleating of sheep carried over the hills. Nothing unusual, and yet everything felt unusual. I walked toward the back, more from restlessness than concern. I told myself I was just checking the animals, making sure no thieves had slipped in under the cover of darkness. That's what I told myself anyway. As I neared the stable, I heard a sound that halted me at the doorway. The cry of a newborn. It is not a sound you mistake once you've heard it. I had heard it 3 times in my own home. There is a particular tone to it, a raw, startling announcement. I am here. I stepped into the stable and the lamplight met my eyes. They were there. The young woman lay exhausted on a makeshift bed of straw and blankets, her hair damp with sweat, her face pale but strangely peaceful. The man knelt beside a stone feeding trough. My feeding trough, the one I had cursed earlier in the week for cracking at the rim. Now it was cleaned, filled with fresh straw, and in it lay the child, so small, wrapped in claws against the chill. His tiny chest rose and fell, breath whispering softly between parted lips. His cry faded into little whimpers, then into the quiet, heavy breathing of newborn sleep. I stood frozen, shame flooding my body. This was what I had sent them to, this cold corner, this rough bedding, this smell of animals. I'm sorry, I blurted before I could stop myself. The man looked up at me. His face bore the lines of exhaustion and strain, but his eyes were gentler than I deserved. You gave us shelter, he said. For that, I thank you. I wanted to protest, to say that what I had given was not enough, that it should have been better, warmer, cleaner, that a child should not enter the world in a place like this. Instead, I just stood there, feeling the full weight of my inadequacy. Something about the scene felt wrong, and yet right at the same time, as if the world itself had bent in humility around that crude manger. Do you need anything? I asked clumsily. Water? Cloths? Food? He smiled faintly. We have what we need for now. I lingered, watching the child, unable to pull myself away. There was an odd stillness in the air, like the hush in a great hall before a king enters. Only the king was already here, and no trumpet sounded, only a baby's soft breath. Eventually, I left them to rest. Life inside the inn demanded me again. But even as I worked, I felt pulled toward the back of the house. toward that small circle of lamplight and straw. I thought that was the end of it. It was not. Sometime later, how much time I cannot say, the night had lost its usual rhythm. There came another disturbance. Footsteps this time, quick and uneven, and voices hushed with a strange kind of excitement. I stepped outside once more and saw them. Shepherds. A whole group of them, still smelling of fields and sheep. Clothes rough and worn, eyes wide like men stumbling out of a dream. They hurried past the front of the house, barely sparing it a glance, heading straight for the stable as if someone had given them directions. "Hey!" I called after them, more out of instinct than authority. "Where are you going?" One of them turned his head long enough to throw words over his shoulder. "To see the child," he said. "The angel told us." Angel. It was not a word I heard often from the mouths of shepherds. Curiosity pushed me after them. I stood near the entrance of the stable, half hidden, watching as they crowded in, and then stopped as one, swallowed by awe. There he was again. The baby, the mother, looking at them with a mixture of alarm and wonder. The father, protective, watchful. "We were in the fields," one shepherd began, talking almost too fast to breathe, "just watching the flock like every other night. And then the sky, it opened." He gestured helplessly, as if his hands could sketch the unimaginable. Light everywhere, a messenger of the Lord. We were terrified. "We thought we would die," another added, laughing a little at his own fear. But the angel said, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news of great joy that will be for all the people. Today in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He is Messiah," as he repeated the words. And then he said, "This will be the sign to you. You will find a baby wrapped in cloths and lying in a manger." They all looked toward the trough at once. Wrapped in cloths, lying in a manger. The sign was not a crown, not a chariot, not a throne. It was poverty. It was straw. It was the very thing I had been ashamed of offering. I felt something tighten in my throat. Had I refused them entirely, where would these men have gone? Where would they have found their sign? The shepherds moved closer, kneeling in the straw, tears glinting in their eyes. Some whispered praise under their breath. One simply stared, lips parted, as if his heart were hearing a song too deep for his ears. I watched all of it from the shadows, my own heart pounding. Savior, Messiah, Lord. Words I had heard in synagogue, words discussed by men far more learned than I. Words about a future hope, a distant king, a day when God would finally rescue his people. And yet here they were, spoken over a sleeping child in my stable. For the rest of the night, the shepherds could not keep quiet. They left as suddenly as they had come, spilling out into the streets, telling anyone who would listen about angels and light and a baby in a manger. Some laughed at them. Some shook their heads. Some listened with a strange hunger in their eyes. I cleaned mugs that night with shaking hands. What had I almost turned away? What had I pushed to the edge of my property, into the cold, because I was too full, too busy, too tired to make room? Days passed. The census ended. People left. My inn emptied, then settled back into its usual rhythm. The couple stayed for a time, long enough to recover some strength. I watched them when I could. The man, Joseph, I heard someone call him, worked with his hands, repairing little things around the place without being asked. The girl, Mary, sang under her breath sometimes while she held the child. Simple songs, but the way she looked at him while she sang, it made me feel like I was intruding on holy ground if I stared too long. They did not demand special treatment. They did not tell people who he was. If not for the shepherds, I would have believed them to be just another poor family caught under the wheels of empire. But then came the day they left, and I assumed that would be the end of my part in their story. I was wrong again. Months later, maybe more, time blurs when you are busy, we had another wave of visitors. Not a crowd this time. Just a small caravan that looked nothing like the rabble we usually housed. These men were different. Wealth hung on them like another garment, but not the kind that boasts. Their eyes were sharp, observant. Their speech carried the accents of far places. They asked only one question, and it was not about beds or wine. "Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews?" they said. "We saw his star in the east and have come to worship him." King. I admit my first thought was of Herod, and fear prickled down my spine. Kings do not like to hear of other kings, not while they are still on the throne. But these men did not speak of palaces or courts. They followed light, not politics. And somehow, through ways beyond my understanding, they found their way to that same child. By then, the family had moved from the stable into a small house nearby. I still saw them sometimes in the street. Joseph with tools over his shoulder, Mary with the boy on her hip, his little hand tangled in her hair. The travelers entered the house with reverence written into every step. They bowed low before him, this child playing at his mother's feet, and they presented gifts so rich my mind still reels. Gold, incense, myrrh. Gifts for royalty, gifts for deity, gifts for burial. I saw them just once from across the way, and my heart trembled. All my life, I had measured value in coins, in full rooms, in busy nights. That evening, watching strangers bow to a toddler hardly steady on his feet, I realized my scales had been wrong from the beginning. Years have passed since then. Many. I have seen that family no more. Rumors reached us now and then. Rumors of Herod's cruelty, rumors of children slain, rumors that the couple fled in the night, warned by a dream. Then later, rumors of a man preaching in the wilderness, healing the sick, challenging the proud, eating with sinners. Some said he claimed to forgive sins, to be one with God. Others said he was dangerous, a blasphemer. But when those stories reached my ears, I did not picture a threat. I pictured a child sleeping in a manger, breath soft and steady, straw rustling with every movement. I pictured shepherds kneeling, wise men bowing, a young mother treasuring every word in her heart, a quiet father standing guard. And I remembered my own part. Small, flawed, miserly at first, but real. I had not given him a palace. I had not cleared my best room. I had not recognized him when he stood at my door, but I had given what I had, and somehow that shabby corner became a sanctuary. I carry both halves of that truth in me, the regret and the awe. Regret that I almost sent them back into the night with nothing. Awe that God would let his first breath on earth be drawn in a place like mine, under my roof, in a space I could have easily withheld. If there is anything I have learned, it is this. The king does not always come dressed as a king. Sometimes he comes as interruption, as inconvenience, as one more knock when you are already tired, one more need when you feel you have nothing left to give. I think often about that moment at the door, the weight of my hand on the latch, the words rising in my throat, the choice between comfort and compassion. If I could speak to every innkeeper of every generation, I would say this. When the knock comes, look closely. Do not let your fullness make you blind. Do not let your weariness make you hard. You do not know whose life you are turning away. You do not know what glory waits in a manger at the edge of your property. As for me, I still run this place. There are still nights when every room is full and every temper is short. There are still times when I am tempted to shut the door quickly and pretend I do not hear. But then I remember straw. I remember angels on shepherds' lips. I remember strange men bowing with treasures at their feet. I remember the face of a young girl and the determination of the man beside her. I remember a baby's cry in the cold, and I whisper a simple prayer, the only one I know to fit. Lord, if you knock again, help me see you this time. I am the innkeeper of Bethlehem. I am not a prophet. I am not a priest. I am just a man who once said, there is no room, and then watched heaven itself move into my stable. The memory haunts me. The mercy humbles me. The wonder changes me still. This is my story. This is my confession. This is the night I learned that sometimes in the smallest corners, the King of Glory comes to stay. Thank you for listening to this story. If it touched you, made you think, or gave you something to hold on to, please like, subscribe, share, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss the next story in this Christmas POV series. More is coming, and every voice holds a piece of the night that changed the world. I have